Hi, I'm Katrina Voren.
I'm Lauren Middleman.
I'm Audrey Binder.
I'm Claire Beesholm.
And we did our methods practice presentation on the power of influence. We used our 3 previous method practices to do this. We watched the movie The Shawshank Redemption, read the book In Cold Blood, and went to a club meeting for LSU. In Shawshank Redemption, the power of influence is present when Andy influences all the other people in the prison through his constant hope, because he has this secret will that he's going to get out of prison, and it affects the morale of everyone else in the prison. And additionally, the authorities and guards in the prison also affect morale based on whatever their behavior is. That's how they treat the prisoners, which clearly affects morale. And in Cold Blood, there are 2 main characters, the murderers, Dick and Perry, and Dick clearly influences Perry by manipulating him into crimes that Perry did not originally want to commit. And in LSU, the leaders of the community influence the environment, which creates a safe space for any members of the club.
So the first of our method practices was using different lenses for a movie, and we chose Shawshank Redemption, which is the story of a man named Andy who is sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences because he was wrongfully convicted of the murder of his wife and her lover. And the story revolves around his prison sentence and sorry, and the different ways that the corrupt system of power is brings him down. And so, sorry. The movie is structured around social power, which is the ability of a person or group to influence a targeted individual. So an example is when Andy targets the captain, who didn't trust Andy enough for his influence of power to work, but he ends up remedying this by telling the captain that he could check with the IRS, and the reward for preparing the paperwork for free was now he could influence the captain. And there's 5 different bases of social power, and Andy uses reward, coercive, and expert to negotiate situations with other inmates and improve his standards of living within the prison because of the warden and all of that. And then Andy influences other inmates through hope, and the movie structure shows the structure of almost a caste system or a hierarchy within the prison systems that show the influence of power going from the highest of the warden down to the lower inmates.
So our next source that we used was the novel In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. So it was a non-fiction novel that was based on the true story of the Clutter family. They were this family in a small town called Holcomb in Kansas in the 1950s, and they were brutally murdered with no reasoning by Dick Hickok and Perry Smith. So they decided to go after them when they got information that they had a lot of money in their house. But when they found out they didn't, they still killed them. And then they ran away. They fled to Mexico. Eventually they came back from Mexico and got caught when they were in Vegas. And you see them turn against each other, and they admit to killing the people, and they are sent to prison and executed eventually. So in Cold Blood, Perry lied to Dick about murdering a black guy so he would look cool to Dick. And So Dick is motivated by his impulses. He's very like just do it kind of mindset, and he's the mastermind in the murders. So he's the one being like, okay, we gotta do this. We gotta buy stuff to like hang the people. We gotta like. He's the one that's leading the two of them, and then Harry is more the submissive partner. So Dick manipulated Perry into going along with all the murders and the plans that he had, even if Perry didn't initially want to. So this shows the strong influence that he had over Perry.
I'm just gonna do this because they can't see me. Okay, so our third source that we chose to look into was the Latino Scholars Club here at Costa. And so all of our members went and we observed a meeting, which they had at lunch. And then after that, we chose to interview one person from the club, whether that be like an administrator or a student. And so here I have my notes from the meeting and then the quotes from the interview. And just to go over them, from the meeting, what they talked about was Spanish Heritage Month, and they really had a very serious conversation about what being a Latino meant to them and how that impacted their life. And then they, at the end, they played a game, and it was so high energy, and everyone was so supportive of each other, which was something that was different than what I see usually on campus, to be honest. And then I chose to interview a member from the club, and she always said how it helped her fit in at this school because she joined this club when she was a freshman and she didn't really know anyone, and through this club she was able to find a safe place where she could be herself and connect with others and kind of form a family that she didn't originally have. And she also said that the teacher that, what's it called? The teacher that runs the club, thank you, Miss Martinez, has always been such a nice and supportive and trustworthy person in her life. And through this club, she kind of grew like a mother figure. And so from that information, we kind of figured out that the Latino Scholars Union, it influences this, the students are influenced by each other and the teacher, because having them all be together, it's a way for them to really revive their culture and kind of figure out what that part of them is about. And then the teacher also provides this leader type of a role and that they can build off of and go to when they need any help. And then we also talked about how the Latino Scholars Union, it helps to keep them together, and it kind of revives their culture and keeps it alive. And it adds to their identity, because if they didn't have this club, then we kind of assume that through the school they might not have as much of their culture might not have as much of an influence on their life than it would if they were in the club. And then it also gives students a safe place, as I've said, because they can have each other and grow off of that. And just to close, I have this quote by a university that says that by sharing your culture with others, you'll not only hold on to an important part of who you are, but you'll also have the opportunity to teach others about why it matters. And I thought that was really prevalent to the LSU club and what we learned from it.
So just to go over all that one more time, all of these, the book, movie, and club, all shared the power of influence in different ways. In Shawshank Redemption, it was hope spread from Andy as he was pressing everyone to become better and better themselves in prison, in hopes that when they got out, they would do good things in the world. And in Cold Blood, Dick is an alpha male who controls a very submissive Perry to influence him into doing crimes and other bad things. And in the club, the leader of the club dictates the environment of the club, while the students really affect each other and influence each other with their behavior. Thank you for listening.